Hilchas Eidus Perik Shishi. Kvar biarnu shekiyum shtaris midivreim. The musig of kiyum shtaris is a drabonon, and the Ram says the reason for it is kedei sheli tinel deldus b'fnei loven. So it sounds like the midday raisa kiyum shtaris shouldn't help, and the whole idea that kiyum shtaris helps is only a drabonon, and the purpose for it is kedei sheli tinel deldus b'fnei loven. That's the pashtus haloshen. Now the Maisa is that really it's not so clear where the Rambam say this din that kiyum shtaris midivreim. The Rambam earlier said that the whole musig that a star works is only a drabonon. The whole musig, the whole idea that a star works is only a drabonon. Now, if the whole idea that a star works is a drabonon, so the pashtus, the kiyum of the star is also a drabonon. The whole musig of the kiyum star is a drabonon. Here the Rambam is saying that the reason why the Chacham instituted this musig of kiyum stars is kedei shelitinol dels b'vnei loven. But pashtus, that's the general reason for shtaris. In order for that, so we said before that in order for the malva to be able to have a star like this, he'll have to bring the edim. So memela, so kedei shelitinol dels b'vnei loven. So that's why we have the musig of star. But here in the Lashon HaRambam is not so clear. Nachmol kvar biyarnu shekiyum shtaris midivreim. The whole musig of kiyum shtaris is darbon dikadin, and kedei shelitinol dels b'vnei loven. In order that shelitinol dels b'vnei loven, and therefore the Rabban instituted this din of kiyum shtaris midivreim. Above avol became, even though kiyum shtaris is the Rabban dikadin, abulapel ein mekayim shtaris el b'shleisha. So as the Rabban insisted that this din of kiyum shtaris, which you'll be mekayim shtar, was only on a Rabban dikah level, should only be b'shleisha. Vafilu shleisha edietis. It doesn't have to be shleisha mumchim, but it could be shleisha edietis. Mipnei shu din. So therefore, midrabanon, the kiyum shtaris, which is a din drabanon, needs shleisha. And also lefichach mekayim shtaris balayla k'meisha b'yarnu, because since it's a din, kiyum shtaris is a din. So since it's a din, so ein mekayim shtaris balayla. So nachabal, there's a musik called kiyum shtaris, and the Rambam says that kiyum shtaris is a drabanon dikadin. And the reason why it's a drabanon dikadin, the Rambam says because shleitinol dels b'vnei loven. The Hagoyes HaRamach asks over here, the Gemara says the reason why it's a drabanon dikadin is because midiraisa edem achsum al ashtan asik mishnach kreidusim bebezin. So mainly you don't really need kiyum. Midiraisa you assume that it's good without kiyum, and it's only with drabanon that you need kiyum. So that you need kiyum. And over here, so the chur over here, the reason was midiraisa from the Gemara comes out midiraisa you would be able to have a star without kiyum. And here the Rabbanon instituted no, that you need kiyum for the star. The Rambam was saying that the whole din the Rabbanon was the b'chalal that a star works. That a star works. Now, once a star works, the question is, does it work without kiyum or with kiyum? So the whole musik of a star that it works is only a din the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon said that it can only work with kiyum. The pashtus. The Rambam is saying kvar biyan kiyum ashtaris midivrei. And the reason why it is kedei shelitinol dels b'vnei loven, and that's why what? That's why they instituted that kiyum shtaris, the midivreim was to help the malva, to make the malva difficult for the malva. Shleitil danas b'fnei loven. I'll call upon him. Va'afal pikein ein mekayim shtaris el b'shleisha. The din is kiyum shtaris is midivreim. You have to understand really what's this musik of shleitil danas b'fnei loven. That's why a star helps. How does that work when you get kiyum shtaris? But that's what the Rambam says, that kiyum shtaris midivreim, and the reason shleitil danas b'fnei loven. But the Rambam says, nevertheless, the kiyum shtaris has to be done in a bezin, has to be done in a bezin shleisha, and it cannot be done balayla. Halacha beis. Be'echad mechamisha drachim yiskayim hashtar bebezin. To be mekayim hashtar bebezin can be done in one of 5 ways. Haderech ha'achas, sheyu adayonim makirim ksav yedei edim, shezu Eidus pleni, shezu Eidus plenis. So you don't have to tell the dayonim anyway, any place. You bring the star to the dayonim. The dayonim recognize that these names, this is the signature, which is masim with these names. This is their signature. Mele, they could go ahead and be mekayim the star. They know that this was a good star. Haderech hashniya sheyachtu moedim b'fneim. They wouldn't really recognize the signature of the edim, but the edim sign in front of them. Pashtus means they signed this star in front of them. Once the edim, the bezin saw how the edim signed this star in front of them, so the bezin could write a kiyum on the star, a hempik on the star, saying that this is an authentic star. We saw these edim sign the star. Whereas they don't really know they don't recognize the signature of the edim, but they saw the actual edim. They know these people. They know that these people, this person is this name, this person is this name, and they actually saw him sign the star. Haderech Hashlishis, Sheyaveu Ha'edim Aches Mulifneim, the actual original Edim should come, V'yemer Kol Echad V'yachad Zeh Ksav Yodi, V'ani Eid V'davar Zeh. Each one should testify about his Ksav Yad, and that's also enough of a Kiyum. So 3 ways of Kiyum Devaila: either the Bezin recognizes the Eidus, the Chsima, or the Bezin saw them sign, or the Edim originally come along and say, we signed. Haderech Revius, 4th way, She'em Mesu Eidei Ashtar, in other words, the Eidei Ashtar cannot come, Eisha Hoyu B'mdina Acheres, is V'yoveu Edim Acherim, other Edim come, V'yoidu Al Ksav Yodem Shuzeh, they recognize this Ksav Yad, they say, yeah, we recognize that this is an authentic signature, this is the signature of this person, this Reuven ben Yankiv, this is how he signs his name. So we recognize his signature. And Haderech HaChamishes is Ksav Yodem Yetze B'shtoris Acheres, and Ve'erchem Bezin Zeh Ksav Le'esi Aksav Sheb'shtoris Acheres. So in other words, there's nobody that really recognizes the signature, but we have another signature of these 2 Edim. We have another signature of these 2 Edim. And now we're going to compare the 2 signatures. So Bezin goes ahead and brings the signatures that these Edim signed on another shtar. So Ve'erchem Bezin Zeh Aksav Le'esi Aksav Sheb'shtoris Acheres. They compare the 2 signatures, and V'yeh Deimuz Elazeh similar, and V'yirol Lehem B'yachad Sheksav Yidei Elu Ksav Yidei Echad. They see it together, and they see that these signatures are the same signatures. Memela, they could go ahead and authenticate the shtar based on this comparison, this signature comparison. Is Nachamol. The first way is that the Bezin recognized the Edim, the Ksav Yad of the Edim. The second way is the Bezin actually saw these Edim sign. The third way is that the Edim come and say, this is our signature. The fourth way is that Edim come along and say, we recognize this signature as being the signature of these people that are signed in the shtar. And the fourth way is that we don't have any Edim to recognize the signature, but we have these signatures on another shtar. So Bezin goes ahead and compares the signatures on this shtar to the signatures on the other shtar, and based on that, they authenticate the shtar. They write a kiyum on the shtar. Halachi Gimel. Now, the question is, when you can go take other shtaris, how do we know that those other shtaris are true shtaris? Because the malva is coming along with a shtar. So the question is it really a true shtar? The malva doesn't have a kiyum on the shtar. So we have to go ahead and be mekayim the shtar for the malva. So how are we going to do it? So let's say we don't have the original Edim, the Bezin doesn't recognize it, so we're going to bring another 2 shtaris, another shtar, and we're going to compare the signature, this signature to this signature. Could be the malva prepared some other shtar, and Memele, he put the same Reuven Miyankiv on this shtar and put the same Reuven Miyankiv on the other shtar, and the taka the same signature because there's the same forgery. They were both forged by the malva or by someone the malva hired. And Memele, that's not a raya. The fact that it's the same signature of another shtar, who says the other shtar is a mekuyim, is a real shtar? So therefore he says, ein mekayim es shtar, mishtaris acheres, to go ahead and authenticate this shtar, be mekayim this shtar, based on other stars. Ella, it has to be mishnei shtaris. First it has to be 2 shtaris, and it has to be shel snei sodis of 2 separate fields. Sha'ochlum baleim shalishonim achila nechoyna gluya b'lishum yira v'lipachad mitvia beilam. Because you go to a person that bought a field from someone, and he has the shtar which says he bought this field. He's been sitting in this field already for 3 years and not being he had a shtar. And now, in this shtar, this and this person, the same person that signed on this shtar, which the malva is presenting, is signed on that shtar, which that shtar is an authentic shtar. How do you know it's an authentic shtar? Because on that shtar, this person has been sitting in this karka already for 3 years, based on that shtar. And Aldera said, there's another shtar that someone else has, that's sitting on this karka, on his karka for 3 years. That's this din. Lachamol. Ein mekayim es shtar, to go ahead and be mekayim the shtar, is only mishtaris acheres. You have to go ahead and present other shtaris. Ein mekayim es shtar, mishtaris acheres. When you're going to be mekayim the shtar, mishtaris acheres, is ella, it has to be mishnei shtaris, 2 shtaris, shel shnei sodis, of 2 separate fields, of 2 separate people, sha'achlum baleim shalishonim, that the Bailam ate these fields 3 years, achila nechena gluya. Then there's the ate it b'lishum yira v'leipachad mitvia beilam, kederach sha'ichlum kol bali sodis, so they say, they acted in this field in a regular way, as like a regular balabas. That would be one option, to get 2 fields of 2 separate people that had a shtar with this signature, and these people were in this field already for 3 years. Oy mishtei shtori ksubas. You go find two women that have a ksuba, and you go ahead and take two shtori ksubas. V'hu sheyotzu shtei. So then, in such a way, so you could go ahead and authenticate the shtar by comparing the signature in this shtar to the signature in the other two shtaris, either in the shtei sadis or in the shtei ksubas. Aber v'hu sheyetzu shnei ashtaris mitachas yidei yacher. It has to be that it's not that the malva is the one that has the shtar. Someone else has the shtar. It can't be that the malva is presenting a shtar that his wife has as a ksuba, or the shtar that he has with a shtar that he has on a sada. Why? Because Shem is ziyaf hakil. It's possible that he was mizayef side the shtar which he's presenting now, and side the shtar which he's using in order to bring a riot to the signature of this shtar. The signature of this shtar. So therefore he has to bring a raya from two shtaris, and those two shtaris are not going to be by him, because if it's by him, could be he was mizayef the shtar. Now what happens if he has a shtar, but on the other end that shtar is a shtar mekuyim? The shtar is a shtar mekuyim. So if he's being mekayim from a shtar that's not a shtar mekuyim, so it's clear. So maybe he was mizayef the shtar. But if he was mizayef the shtar from a shtar mekuyim, so the pashtus lashon Rambam, then there's no kshash that he was mizayef that shtar. That shtar is mekuyim. So then he could be mekayim this shtar based on the comparison of the signatures. That's l'chura what comes out from lashon Rambam. Rashi argues with this. Rashi holds that if he had possession of this shtar, which he's using to be mekayim this shtar, so possible since it was in his possession, could be he was mezayef this signature. In other words, could be he was mezayef the signature. Since we don't have to say that he was mezayef. According to the Rambam, comes out we're only worrying that maybe he was mezayef the shtar which is bringing a raya to the shtar from. But if that shtar is he wasn't mezayef because it's mekuyim, so then that can bring a raya to the shtar. According to the Rambam, Rashi holds no, even if that shtar is not a good shtar, but since it was in his possession, so therefore we're always afraid that maybe since he had it in possession, so he was able to work hard in order to forge the proper signature. That's what he's saying. That's this then. Now the question is always maybe he had possession of another signature. In those, if we're worrying that he had possession of this, if we know he had possession of this shtar which had this signature, so that gives us concern that maybe he used that shtar in order to forge this other signature. But to say, to be chosheh, that maybe he had another shtar which is person's signature, and then he went ahead and he forged the signature from this signature, so then it's Eila Dover Seif. V'chein, mekaymes ashtar, mishtar shekorer of irer, v'huchzik bebezin. If you have a shtar which was korer of irer, and as a result of that they went ahead and they were mekayim the shtar in bezin. So now we have a shtar which has a hempik on it, which has a kiyum on it. So now mekayim and mimenu levade, k'meishe mekayim and mishtar shtei sodis shtei ksubis. Just like if you have two sodis or two ksubis which aren't mekuyim, you could go ahead and compare the signature on this to the signature on those other two sodis. So al derech over here, you don't have to have two, you can have one, because since the shtar is a shtar mekuyim, it's a shtar which korer of irer, and then they were machzik at bebezin, there was a kiyum on it, so then you could use one shtar of a shtar which korer of irer and hirziku bebezin to use as a comparison to this shtar, to the signature on this shtar, and if the two signatures are similar, so then you'll be mekayim this shtar which you're presenting now. Now the Lashon Rambam is that mishtar shekorel of irer v'huchzik bebezin. So it's talking about a shtar shekorel of irer v'huchzik bebezin. Now there's a question: does it have to be korel of irer v'huchzik bebezin, or who adir if the shtar was never korel of irer? Just maybe normally you're not going to go ahead and be machzik bebezin unless there was a korel of irer. So that's how the Kesef Mishnah understands. The Kesef Mishnah understands that this din doesn't have to be dafke korel of irer, even if it's not korel of irer. As long as it was hulzing bebezin, you can be mekayim this shtar you're presenting now from a shtar which has a kiyum on it. And as we said before, that even if it has a kiyum, according to the Rambam, even if you have possession of that shtar which has a kiyum on it, nevertheless you be mekayim that other shtar. You can be mekayim the other shtar. Other holds not like that though. Marshal, the Tur brings b'shem Ramah that this din is only taka by korel of irer. If the shtar was korel of irer and then it was hulzik bebezin, so that huzik is a very strong huzik, because there was someone that was being korel of irer. So Mela obviously he tried to passel the kiyum, and lepel nevertheless it was huzik bebezin. So therefore that's a stronger huzik. That's a stronger huzik. Masha'inkin, if you have a regular star, which was never Karol of Ir, even though it was Hugzi Bebezin, so you wouldn't be able to be Mekayim, this star you're presenting now, only based on that star, which is only one star. So Bekitzer, so according to the Ramah, a star Shekarol of Ir v'Hugzi Bebezin is stronger than a star Shalei Karol of Ir. I said the Rebbe would always say, when they get you to Kislev, that it would be a star Shekarol of Ir, for Huzi Bebezin, so the Huzi Bebezin is stronger because it was Karol of Ir, which goes according to the Shita that holds that when it's Karol of Ir and Huzi Bebezin, it's stronger than it was not Karol of Ir. Masha'enkin, according to the Kesef Mishnah, this din lav dafka Karol of Ir, as long as Huzi Bebezin, so it has a din of a star Huzi Bebezin. Halacha Dalet. Now, in order to be Mekayim Shtar, we said before that it has to be Shleisha. So it has to be clear in the Kiyum that there was a Bezin of Shleisha. Now, Bezin Kosvu, they write in the Shtar, B'meishav Shleisha Hayinu, that we were sitting three together, and when the Skayim Shtar Zebel Fanenu, is Harei Zebekuyim, Afal Pishul, Pirshu, Be'ezed Derech, Michomish Adrach and the Skayim. They don't have to really write how they were exactly Mekayim. We just said there are 5 options of how to be Mekayim the Shtar, the 5 ways to be Mekayim the Shtar. They don't have to write in the Shtar how they were Mekayim it. They could just write that we were sitting 3 of us together, which means we were a Bezdin, and the Shtar was Niskayim. She'en Choshel leBezdin Shema Yitu. Once we know there is a Bezdin, we're not going to stop being Choshesh Shema Yitu. Ukvar Nogu Kol Batedina, but L'Peil, the minig is, even though Meikra the Dina, they don't have to write how they were Mekayim the Shtar, but L'Peil, Kvar Nogu Kol Batedinim, Shere'ina V'Shamaynu, Sheyichtavu Haderech Sheniskayim B'Bafanaim, that they do write in the Shtar how they were actually Mekayim it. Ule'elam ein Bezdin Boitkin Acher Bezdin Acher. When Bezdin goes ahead and has a Shtar, and that Shtar has a Kiyum on it, we don't have to start going ahead. Bezdin doesn't have to go be Beidik. How are they Mekayim the Shtar? Was it a proper Kiyum? Ein Bezdin Boitkin Acher Bezdin Acher. Zikanesen Shem Bekiyum V'Leyitu, and if they were Mekayim the Shtar, regardless of if they wrote how they were Mekayim or they didn't write how they were Mekayim, we assume they were Mekayim it properly, and therefore we're not Beidik. Avol Beitkin Acher Eidim, when Eidim come along and say, I'm going to say this, so we don't say, since they're saying they're going to say this, so obviously what they're saying is Beseder. We say we're Beidik. There's a din of Bdikas, the issues, the Chakiris that we learned before. Halacha Vav. Shloisha, now this din is based on the din that you have to have 3 people to be Mekayim Shtar. There's Kiyum Shtaris is B'Shleisha. If you have 2 people being Mekayim Shtar, it's not a Kiyum. Now Shleisha Sheyoshu L'Kayim Shtar. 3 people sat down to be Mekayim Shtar, and they came to the conclusion that the Shtar is a good Shtar, and they were going to sign on this Kiyum. They were going to write this Kiyum and sign on the Kiyum. And Lepel, before they got a chance to sign it, after they came to the conclusion that the Shtar is a good Shtar, Umes Echad, one of the people died. So obviously he can't sign. So the din is azay, tzorech lichtev, they should write now in the Shtar, the Kiyum should be like this. B'meishav shleishayin, we were sitting 3 together. And one of us isn't here anymore. So it should be clear that the Kiyum was done through 3. Why? Because Shema Yira Horei, they know that there were 3. But maybe if they're only going to sign it, they're not going to write B'meishav Tlas Avina, we're afraid that Shema Yira Horeya, and you'll see that only 2 people signed on this Kiyum, V'yemer B'shnayim Kimu, that they were Mekayim B'shnayim, and Melo, it's not really a proper Kiyum. Afilo Yekosebe B'Bezdin, even if it says, we were sitting as a Bezdin, and Lepel, now there's only 2 signed on it, is Yemer Horeya, the person is going to see that they're writing that they were a Bezdin, and Lepel, only 2 are going to sign. Yemer Hareya Shema Dimush Shneim Bezdin. Maybe they thought that Shneim is a Bezdin. So no, the Kiyum is not really such a strong Kiyum because people will be able to contest it, people to argue with this Kiyum. And Taina the Kiyum is not a good Kiyum because maybe there wasn't a Bezdin. It says that they were a Bezdin. Maybe they thought it was a Bezdin of Shneim because we see there's only 2 signed on it. Masha'inkin, if they say clearly that we were 3 and one of us are no longer here, so then we know that there were 3 people. Now, v'im yesh be mashma shehoyu shleisha, if there's some other mashmois, without saying b'mesiv plus avina v'echad einanu, somehow or another it's clear that there were 3 people, there's ein tzarech. The Sma brings that, the Mashal, if they write that we were here, we know that the Shtar is good, and there was also another person that told us the Shtar is good, so basically there's a we and there's another person, so Lapach is there are 3 people there. So maybe somehow or another, in the wording of the Shtar, it's clear that there were 3 people there. So then that's also a good kiyum. The ikar is, it has to be clear that they were a bezdin. So if they write, it's clear. If they write, we were a bezdin, and Lepel only two people signed, and they don't write that we were a bezdin, and one of us passed away, so then that's not clear, because someone may think that they thought that two people were a bezdin. Halacha Zayin. Shleisha shiyoshvu l'kayim hashtar. Now the din is kiyam shtaris need shleisha. Now if one of them is puzzled to be a dayan or to be an aid, so then there's no shleisha, there's only shtayim. So I say, shleisha shiyoshvu l'kayim hashtar. Three people sat down l'kayim hashtar, which is fine. Lepei l'bo shnei edim, v'i'iru al echad mem shu gazlan, u'kiyetzebei. And two people came along and said that one of them is a gazlan. So basically at this point in time, there's no three, there's only two. And then later on, another two people came. The Eidus shechazer b'tshuva. They didn't argue with the first ones. If they would argue with the first ones, so then it would be trei, so it would still be puzzle. Over here, they said you're right what you said that he was a gazlan, but on the other end, he was chazer b'tshuva. So there was a time that he was a puzzle eight, because until the Eidim come along and say that chazer b'tshuva, even if he was chazer b'tshuva earlier. But Lepel, until they come along and say that he was Chazer B'tshuva, he has a din of apostolate. So again, they sat down with three people, assuming that there are three of them. Then there's Adam came along and said, no, one of them is a Gazlan. At that point in time, that one became puzzle. And then an Adam came along and said he did Tshuva. So at that point in time, he became kosher, and now they have three. So the question is, now for them to be Mekayim the Shtar. So obviously, originally they sat down to be Mekayim the Shtar, but when they realized that one of them is a puzzle, so now they can't all three be Mekayim the Shtar because one of them is a puzzle. Now, not only can't they all three be Mekayim the Shtar, two out of the three can't either get involved in the Kiyum because he's only two and there's no three. In other words, when you have three, so that each one signs separately. But over here, at this point in time, if these two are going to go ahead and sign the Shtar, they're signing a Shtar, the Kiyum of the Shtar, without being a Bezdin because there's only one. Masha'inkin, if they would wait until this person will be reinstated as a dayan, because there'll be Aiden that said he did tshuva, and then they're going to sit down and sign the shtar, that's no problem. That's this thing. Shleisha shiyoshu l'kaimus ashtar, ubo shnei Aiden v'i'iru alechem mem, shugaz no ketzebe, and then bo shnei macherim v'i'idu shechazer b'tshuva. So when the first Aiden came, he became puzzle. When the second Aiden came, he becomes kosher. Izim actually chosmu, he idu, before anyone signed on this hempik. That's when this new set of Edom were made, Shechazar. So then it's Areze Chesem Imoim. So all three could sign together. Shari Shleisha, because there were three, and the two signed after there were three. However, V'ma'acher Shechos Mashnayim, he idol of Shechos B'tshuva. So in other words, later on, when the Chos Mashnayim, let's say, originally they sat down to say this, let's say two of them signed already. But Lepel, now we have that this person is not really a dayan. So since this person is not really a dayan, so at this point in time, those two people that signed not as two people without three people. There was no bezdin. So it's like Yigloim Mill said that there was no bezdin. So even though later on this third person is going to become roy to become a dayan, but he's going to become a roy to become a dayan mikana lahaba, not lemafreya. So Lepel, at this point in time, when the Edom came and said he was a gazlan, he was a gazlan. And Memele he didn't have a gazlan before as well. They're saying he was a gazlan. So Memele, when these two Edom signed, they signed with two that there were no three. That's what he's saying. After the two people signed, that's when he did all of Shechaz B'tshuva. That's when he said Eidus Shechaz B'tshuva. While the first two people signed, he was Ke'eni because he was a puzzle. He was a puzzle. He was a puzzle either because he was a gazlan, or they said already Eidus that he was a gazlan. Even if he was a puzzle before they said, when they said Eidus, he becomes a puzzle mafrei from when he was a gazlan. But Medvar Mamurim, when we're saying that Lepel, he was a puzzle, and then he became a kosher, but in the interim he was a puzzle. That's only b'she'ir of b'avera. They tied it that he did an avera. So Lepel, and then later he did tshuva. So while he did the avera, he was puzzle, and then later on when he does tshuva, he's kosher. So since he was puzzle earlier, and they signed when he was still puzzle, so they signed when there was only two, not three. If the error about him wasn't that he was a puzzle, that he did an avera, they tied it he was a b'kam mishpacha against Amru, and therefore ve'evedu. So he's not roy to be a dayan. Maybe or they're saying Eidus that his mother wasn't really a Gieris and therefore V'goyu. And then the Noida Acher Shechos Marshnaim, after the two people signed, is Noida She'em B'mishpachti B'gam V'shehu Kosher. So the first two Edom said that he was apostle. And at that point in time, that's when the other two Edom signed. Either after that or before that, but the point is, at that point in time, he was apostle. Is Harei Zech Chaysim Imoim. Now he could sign with them. Sharei Gili Dover Shoyim Mikedem. So in other words, Lepel, the din is that you have to have three Edom that are signing together as a bezdin. If you have two Edom that signed while there was only two and not three, and then the third person now joined those two, so that's no good because the two people signed when there was only two and not three. So when you have the two people signed after when this person was apostle, what, because he was a Gazlan, so then those two people aren't that those two people signed without a bezdin. And therefore, even now, although he's no longer a Gazlan, so he's a third Dayan, but he's a third Dayan which is joining them. But when they signed when there was only two Dayanim, so Mela doesn't work. Masha'inkin, that's when it was a Psul Aveira, and it was Taka, he was Taka Apostle, and now Taka became kosher. And when they signed, he was Apostle, and now he's kosher. And if they signed now, that's Beseda, but the fact that they signed before, it was Apostle. Masha'inkin, if the Psul was a Psul Mishpacha, so it's not Pshat, before he was Apostle, now he became kosher. Before we thought he was Apostle, now we realize he's kosher. So Memela, the Chiyah Gavna, even though Lepel, the two people signed while we thought he was apostle, but Lepel Aliba Damas, he was kosher. And Lepel, since Aliba Damas, he was kosher, so he was a kosher Dayan. So these two were two Dayan, part of a bezin. So Memela is besed. Halacha Ches. Mutter lichte vakiyom b'shtar, koidem she'iskayim ashtar. There's the question of it's merzik shikra. You're writing the nusach of the kiyom on the shtar, and you're saying b'mesil klas avina, and we would mekayim the shtar. They weren't mekayim the shtar. Later on, they're going to mekayim the shtar, and then they're going to sign the shtar. Then they're going to sign the kiyum. That's fine. Mutter lichtiv akiyum b'shtar, kedem sheyiskayim ashtar before the kiyum, and the v'cheis min hadayonim acher sheyiskayim ashtar. And after the yiskayim ashtar, that's when the dayonim sign on this kiyum. She'ein aksiva ikar, the iksiva that they write, that this the nusach of the kiyum is not really the ikar, el achsima. That's the number one. So maybe you could write the nusach of the hempik before there was actually a kiyum of the shtar, and then later on when there's the kiyum of the shtar, when they authenticate the signatures, so that's when the dayonim sign. That's the number one. Then the Ram says another din. There's no need for the dayonim to read the shtar that they're being mekayim. The kiyum is on the Eidim. They don't know what the shtar is about, but they know that the Eidim that signed that the Eidim that signed the shtar or authentic Eidim. In other words, the kiyum is not talking about the shtar. The kiyum is only talking about the Eidim which are chsumim b'shtar. That the Eidim that are chsumim b'shtar are real Eidus. In other words, they authenticated their signature, but not they're authenticating the shtar. The shtar is being authenticated through the Eidim. And the kiyum is saying that the shtar, that the Eidim that are signed on the shtar are authentic Eidim.